Okay, IM1 students, this is your last video of the year leading to our last activity, which we will complete either Thursday or Friday, depending on which class you have for me. Okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to take 3 years of exam data. All right? And this is actual data from a geometry class I taught in 2006, 2007, and 2008. All right, and it is the same test for each of those years and the same set of data. The scores just changed a little bit, and we're going to learn how to display and analyze data. All right, kind of fun stuff too. So we're going to display and order data or sort data based on specific attributes. And we need to learn how to do a stem and leaf plot, a box and whisker plot, a histogram, a circle graph, and then a Venn diagram. All right, and we also need to understand our measures of central tendency, which would be averages like a mean average, a median average, and a mode average. And this is data analysis, okay? People take data and they do this stuff all the time. And usually people that are working in data analysis are working for the government, the state, or federal, or big business. All right, so let's go and let's have some fun. So here's the 3 years of test data that I was talking about. I forget what chapter this was, but in 2006, this test, here's every score. And these are actual scores. And then I gave the same test in 2007, and these are the scores. And then I gave the same test again in 2008, and these are the scores. Now we're going to take the 2006 data right here, and we're about to analyze it. So we're going to start with what we call a stem and leaf plot. And here's that data for 2006 right here. Now, a stem and leaf plot is really cool because we use it to put data in order, all right? And you all could put all of these scores in order, but a stem and leaf plot is a really efficient and cool way to do so. And so you start your stem and leaf plot with a vertical line. Now, on the left-hand side of the vertical line, you put your ones digit. And all we're going to do is list these scores on this stem and leaf plot. All right? And did I say the ones digit? On the left is the tens digit. So I don't actually need all of these, but I'm going to put it as if scores could range from 0 to 100. So I'm going to start with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And these are tens digits. And this last one, because there is one score or two scores of 100, I can't remember in all of the data, not here, where you have a tens digit of 0, and then you also have to have a hundreds digit. Now, over here on the right, you put the ones digit. So watch how you do this. It's so easy. All right, you look at your first score of 68. So you go to the tens digit of 6, and you put an 8. And then the next score is an 89. So you go down to the tens digit of 8 and you put a 9. There's my 89. And then we have another 68. So guess what? Right here at the 6, I'm going to put a second 8. So that represents 2 scores of 68 right there and 1 score of 89. And then I have a 74. So I go to the 7 and put a 4. And then another 68. Look at that. So let's put a third 8 over here with my tens digit of 6. And then, now let's not lose track of where we were, okay? So, and it's usually nice. I usually mark these with a pencil so I know I did it. But I think I'm at another 68. Let's double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, so this is my fourth 68 right there. All right? Now you guys got to help me stay where I am. I wish you could talk to me while I'm creating the video. Do you see the next score is an 84? So I go down to the tens digit of 8 and I put a 4 next to that 9. All right, and then I have another 74. So at the 7, I need a second 4. And then I have a 63. Oh, that's my first 63. So at the 6, I'm going to put a 3. And then another 63. Well, that's easy. Let's just put another ones digit of 3 there. 63, 63, so we're at 89. So at the tens digits of 8, I need another 9. Okay? And then, oh, look at that, another 63. So at the 6, let's add another 3. And then a 53. So at the 5, I'm going to put a 3 right there. And then an 89. So at the tens digit of 8, I'm going to put a 9. And then a 47. So at the tens digits of 4, I'm going to put a 7. And then we're up to 95, my first day. So at the tens digit of 9, I'm going to have a ones digit of 5. And then another 84. So at the 8, we add a 4 right here. And then a 68. So at the 6, let's put another 8. I got a lot of scores in the 60s there. And then an 89. So at the 8, let's put another 9. We have a lot of scores in the 80s too. And then we have 3 74s in a row. So how about I just go to the 7 right here and go 4, 4, and 4. All right. And then a 79, so let's put a 9 after that. And then an 84. So I need an 84 right there. And then a 63. 3 right there. There's all the data. Now, it's not quite in order, but it's all listed right there. Now, putting it in order is real easy. Ascending order. Let's put this data in ascending order. So again, I need my tens digits over here on the left. Here they come. And then my ones digits on the right. And my lowest score was 47. 47. And then 53. Now, here, I'm going to put the 3s before the 8s. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 scores of 63. So I need 4 3s right here. And then how many 68s do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 68s. So I need 5 8s. Now do you see how it's in order? That's nice. And then look at my 70s are already in order. So I have my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 74s and 1 79. And then how many 84s do I have? 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to put 3 4s right there. And how many 89s? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 89s. Okay? And then my 195. And now I have all of the data, every score, in ascending order, going from 47 to a top score of 95. And that, my friends, is a stem and leaf plot. Really cool. All right. Now, what's next? Okay, so you guys are going to create a poster of some data, and you want to have your poster, and in fact, it probably won't be a poster because we're running out of time, so you might need to just put this on paper. But once you have your stem and leaf plot, make it nice and neat and pretty, label it. So this is the 2006 exam data, and here's that stem and leaf plot giving me the data in ascending order. And that's the beauty of stem and leaf. It easily displays data in order. And when your data is in order, you can do all kinds of stuff with it. Next, let's talk about the 3 types of averages: mean, median, and mode. Okay, and these are called measures of central tendency. So what is a mean average? You worked a lot with averages at the middle school and such. So a mean is simply this. Oh, first mean, and then the other one is a median, and then the mode. Now the mean average is the one that we use most often. Okay, you've done a lot of that. The median is the exact middle score, and the mode would be the score or scores that show up most often. So let's look at our stem and leaf plot and see if we can answer mean, median, and mode with our stem and leaf plot. Okay, there's the data in order right now. All right, so if I'm going to do a mean average, I add up all of the scores and then I divide by the number of scores. So let's start with a fraction. Okay, and now I'm going to add up every score here, and let me show you how to write this so it's more efficient. We have 147 plus 153 plus how many 63s? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to write that plus 4 times 63. All right. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 68s. So let's go plus 5 times 68. And then we have how many 74s? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 5 times 74. And then I have 179 plus 79. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 84. So let's go plus 3 times 84. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 89. So let's go plus 4 times 89. And then I have my last score of 95 plus 95. So this would be the sum of all of the scores right there. And by using these terms with two factors, I write it a lot more efficiently, and it's going to help me later too. Now, how many scores were there? How many test scores did I have here? Because I have to divide by that number. Now, it might be easiest to count the number of scores up here by going like this. 1 score, 2 scores, 6 scores, 11 scores, 16 scores, 17 scores, 20 scores, 24 scores, and that 95 is my 25th score. So I had 25 people in that class that year. So I'm just going to take the sum of all those grades and divide by 25. Now, you carefully punch this out on your calculator and make sure you start with a parenthesis and then type all of this out carefully and then close your parenthesis and then divide by 25. And if you do that, you will get, all right, and I got 73.76. So that's my mean average, all right? So the mean average that year was approximately 74. And back in the day when we gave a test, we wanted our mean average to be right around 75. That's the concept of average right there. That's why if you have a 75% in a class, what do you get? A C, average. Okay, now the median. With a stem and leaf plot, the median is very easy to find. It is the middle number. And since there are 25 scores here, all I have to do is count to the 13th score because that would be the middle score. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. See that 4 right there? That 4 right there is the middle piece of data. That score is the median score for this data. So what is the median? It is 74. And these should be fairly close, but they're not going to be exact. Now the mode. Now remember this. I said the mode would be the score or scores that we see the most. So I can use the stuff I did for my mean average. And do you notice that I have 5 scores of 68? And don't I also have 5 scores of 74? So I have 2 modes here. The modes of this data would be the score of 68 and the score of 74. And that, my friends, is mean, median, and mode, measures of central tendency. Isn't that fun? Okay, next, let's put this in our official display. And this is what I'd turn into my teacher the last day of the school. All right, right there. Beautiful. There's my averages. Mean, 73.76. Median, 74. And mode, 68 and 74. Okay. Where we're going to go now? Oh, the box and whisker plot. Sophia, a box and whisker plot is my favorite data display. You're going to love it, okay? I used to use a box and whisker plot when I was a baseball coach and I'd be scouting players at tryouts, and I'd put all their data into a box and whisker plot, all right? And that's what I used to draft my team. And that box and whisker plot never let me down. We usually would win the championship. And here's how it works. Box and whisker plot, okay? I'm going to use the stem and leaf plot. And you're going to notice we use stuff that we already did, displays that we already did to do our new displays. All right? Now, for a box and whisker plot, I need my median. So what was that median again? 74, right there. Okay? And then I need my min, And what was my minimum score? 47. And then my maximum score, see if I went there, I did, and that's a 95. And then I need 2 more scores, and they are called a lower quartile and an upper quartile score. So what is the lower quartile? Well, you take the bottom half of the data, and this is really easy because this is like this 4 right here is my middle number. So now all the lower quartile is the median of all of the data below that 74 right there. So there are 12 scores right here. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I have a 6 and a 7 score right there. I'm focusing on these 2 scores because there's not an exact middle score here. So what you do is you take the mean average of those 2 scores. So on your calculator, you just go 63 plus 68, and then you divide by 2. And if you do that with me, you're going to get a 65.5. That is the lower quartile score right there. Now, guess what the upper quartile score is? You do the same thing with the upper half of the data. So let's start at this 4 and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 and 7. Oh, and those are both 4s. So the upper quartile score would be 84. Because the mean average of 84 and 84 is 84. All right, nice. And that is all I need. With those numbers, the median, the min, the max, the lower quartile, and the upper quartile, I can do the perfect box and whisker plot. And it starts with a number line. Okay? And you know, you want to scale your number line appropriately for your data. So do you notice my lowest score is 47 and my highest score is 95? So I probably went from 40 to 100. Yes, I did. Now, how did I scale here? What would that be? Is that 50, 60, 70, 80, 90? Yeah. So each of these hash marks are worth 10. So this middle score right here would be 70. And then you have 50, 60, 80, 90, and 100. Now, you do your box and whisker above that number line, and you begin with a vertical segment to represent your median, 74. And this does not have to be perfect, but we're going to label it, all right? So I'm just going to put a vertical segment right here. Okay, oh, I started with the min here. That's okay. So I'm going to go to the 47 and put a point and a 47 right there. So I know exactly what that number represents, all right? Now the max, well, let's go to 95. So 90, 100, 95 would be right here. I'm going to go up, I'm going to put a point, and I'm going to label that point 95. All right? Now, I bet you I did the median. Draw this segment, and the median is 74. So,
hey, Mr. Gibbons.
74, I'm taping right now. All right? And we're going to go a vertical line right there for the 74. Okay, beautiful. Okay, and then you need another vertical line for the lower quartile. So that would be at 65.5 right there. And as soon as I finish this picture, I'm going to go help Anthony for a second, and that help will be right on the video. Okay, then the upper quartile would be the 84 right there. Okay. And now all I do is I draw a horizontal line segment right here up top and one below. And this is my box and these are my whiskers. And that's why they call this a box and whisker plot right there. Now, how do we use that? Well, in a box and whisker plot, normal data is in the box. These are the scores that were expected on this test right here. And then stuff on the whisker would be extreme data. So anything between 47 and 65.5 would be extreme on the low side, and then 84 and 95 would be extreme on the high side right there. Okay, I'm going to stop right here and go help my student who obviously needs me desperately, and we'll continue in a moment. Okay, so now let's take our box and whisker plot and put it together with our other displays. We have the stem and leaf plot, the mean, median, and mode, and here it comes, the box and whisker plot. Now there's two more things I need to add with the box and whisker plot, and that would be the range of my data and then my interquartile range of my data, which is that middle 50% of the data right there. All right, and here's what you do. Range is easy. The range of the data is nothing more than the distance between the max and the min. So the max is 95, the min is 47. Just go 95 minus 47, and you will get 48. Then the interquartile range, or the middle 50%, the range of the middle 50% of the data. Well, that would be the 84 is your extreme on the upper end, and the 65.5 is your extreme on the lower end. So you just go 84 minus 65.5. And that gave me an 18.5, and I did put both definitions there below for you. So there we go. So once you get your box and whisker plot, make sure you tell me the range of the data and then the interquartile range. And that leads to our next data display, which is a histogram, one of my favorites. So for the histogram, okay, you use your stem and leaf plot again. Okay, and a histogram is nothing but a fancy bar graph, okay, and you title your graph, and then you need a horizontal axis, all right, and on the horizontal axis you're going to have percentile in intervals, and that's what a histogram is, okay. And then look at how I did this now. My first score is 47, so my first interval is 40% to 49%, and guess what's going to come next? 50 to 59, and then 60 to 69, and then 70 to 79, and you see how I alternated the colors, and then 80 to 89, and then 90, and you have to go all the way to 100 because you could have a score of 100. And then the vertical axis is the frequency of the data. So draw a vertical axis here and label that frequency. And remember, a good data display, a good graph, you have a title of your display, you have your horizontal axis labeled and titled, and then you have your vertical axis labeled and titled. And this is frequency, which means number of. So all I need to know is how high do I have to go? I had most of my scores were in the 60s, and I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 scores in the 60s. So I'm going to do 9 hash marks on that vertical axis for frequency. Just like that. Now, let's look at the first interval. How many scores did I have in the 40s? 1. You do a bar graph, label them like that. And if they are by ones, you really don't have to label them, but it's nice to have. Okay, there's my bar graph for my 1 score in the 40s. And then I had 1 score in the 50s. Notice how I alternated the colors again too. And then I had, how many was that? Was that 9 scores in the 60s? So my bar is going to go all the way up to 9. And then in the 70s, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 scores in the 70s. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 scores in the 80s. I like that. And then I only had 1 score in the 90s. There it is right there. Okay? And we're going to do a lot with that as well. But that is a beautiful histogram right there. Okay, so let's put that in our display of all of our data, and here it comes, the histogram. Notice, title, all right, my axes are scaled and labeled, and my beautiful bars. Oh, I love it. All right, now the circle graph. Why do I keep thinking these are all my favorite, but I love a circle graph too. And guess what? I think we've used the stem and leaf plot for every other piece of data so far. For the circle graph, I actually used the histogram. So use your histogram to create a circle graph showing the number of students and percent of students who scored at each grade level, A, B, C, D, and F. If necessary, round percents to the nearest tenth. So histogram, let's use it. And there it is right there. Now, my circle graph. What do I need? Well, I'm going to do test scores by grade. All right. So I need to know how many Fs I had and what percent that is. So all you really need to do is find your percent and you put that above each of these bars. So do you guys notice that how many students did not pass? Well, let's do this like this first. We have one student from 40 to 49, and that's 1 out of 25. So I need that as a percent. So can I just go 1 divided by 25? So on your calculator, let's go 1 divided by 25, and that's going to give me 0.04, and you guys should be able to convert a decimal to a percent. Isn't 0.04 going to give me, and here's what I'm doing here, total test scores, there were 25. How many intervals will there be? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, right there. And now I'm doing the percent for each bar on my histogram bar graph there. Okay, so percents. And we just did that. The one score in the 40s, that would be 4% of the data. Now, I already know this would also then be that one score in the 50s, 4% of the data. And that one score in the 90s, another 4% of the data right there. Now let's look at our D's right here, scores in the 60s. And there were 9 of those scores, so just go 9 divided by 25. And your calculator will give you a decimal, and I'm getting 0.36, which converts to 36%. And then in the 70s, there were, that looks like 6 to me. So I'm going to go 6 divided by 25, and I'm getting 0.24 or 24% of the data. All right, and then finally, my scores in the 80s, and there were 7, so I'm going to go 7 divided by 25, and that's going to give me 0.28 or 28% of the data. Okay, now, in a circle graph, what we have are sectors to represent each of these grades, A, B, C, D, and F. So let's start with the F. There's my sector for all the F's right there. And here's what I did, all right? 4% and 4%, this represents 8% of the students who tested. And so what I want here is I want to label this with, that's my F, and that's 2 students or 8% of the students right there. And now also, you guys, this, you know 1 revolution is 360 degrees. So I'm making this little angle right there, all right, 8% of 360 degrees. And to do that, all I do is go 0.08 times 360. 0.08 times 360. And so this angle should be 28.8 degrees. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I approximated. So that's a little bit less than 30 degrees right there. Now, let's go to my D's, which that was 36% of the data. So I'm going to go 0.36 times 360. 0.36 times 360. And I'm getting a pretty large angle of 129.6 degrees there. So, 90 degrees, you know what a perpendicular looks like. And then, so we got to go, what, another 40 degrees beyond that? So that's going to be like right out in here somewhere. And again, doesn't have to be perfect. You're just trying to get a general picture. But this would be the percent of the grades that were a D. And you definitely want to label it, but this is your visual right there. So that was how many students and what percent. That is D, which would be 9 students or 36%. There you go. Now, let's go to the C's, all right? And that, again, let's think about this. 24% of the scores were C, all right? So I'm going to go 0.24 times 360 to get my angle, and I'm getting 86.4, so this angle right here will be pretty close to 90 degrees. I tried to make it a little bit less. There you go, yeah. And that represents all my C's, And again, how many C's were there? There were 6 students, which is 24% of the data. And then let's go to our B's. Okay, so let's find our angle. So see that 28%? Let's go 0.28 times 360, and I'm getting 100.8 degrees. So this angle right here is going to be a little bit more than 90 degrees. So it's going to do something like this. Okay, not perfect, but let's label it with our B's. And one more time, that was 7 students or 28% of the data. Okay, and then you don't have to worry about your sector for the A's because there it is. And that is what? 1 student making up 4% of the data. A. 1 student, 4%, and there is a circle graph. And notice how it's titled. And then I have the sectors for each category, A, B, C, D, or F. And I have each of those sectors labeled with the grade, the number of students, and the percent of students. So let's put that into our displays, and there it is, circle graph. Now, if I remember right, I think we only have one more thing to do here. The Venn diagram. Okay, you see Venn diagrams all the time in science. And here's how they're used. A Venn diagram. We're going to take our stem and leaf plot. There you are again, all right? And we're going to use a Venn diagram to determine how many 2006 scores were odd numbers and multiples of 3. So there's 2 attributes there, the attribute odd number and the attribute multiples of 3. So you draw a rectangle and you label it, these are my 2006 exam scores. And you do a circle for all of the odd scores. And I don't mean odd like different, weird. I mean odd like odd numbers. Okay? And then you do another circle for the multiples of 3. And because there are some numbers that will be odd and multiples of 3, our circles have to intersect. There's got to be a union. And right here will be the scores that are odd and multiples of 3. Okay? And then anything outside of those 2 circles are nothing more than our remaining numbers. Okay, so let's go. 47. You guys know 47 is an odd number. How do you know if it's a multiple of 3? Well, there's a simple rule. If you add the digits, like 4 plus 7 is 11, and if 3 goes into 11 evenly, then 3 has to go into 47 evenly. Now, 3 does not go into 11 evenly, so that means that 47 is just an odd number. Okay, it is not also a multiple of 3, so I didn't put it in here. Now 53, well that's odd, but 5 plus 3 is 8, and 3 does not go into 8 evenly, so 53 is also just an odd number. It's got to go over here somewhere. And then 63, well check this out. 6 plus 3 is 9, and 3 goes into 9 evenly, so 63 is an odd number and a multiple of 3. So I'm going to put all of my 63s in this union, this area right here, which is how many? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I need 4 63s. 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't matter where you put them as long as they're in that section. Okay, put them wherever you want in there. And then 68. Well, 68 is not an odd number, but is it a multiple of 3? Well, 6 plus 8 is 14, and 3 does not go into 14 evenly. So that means 68 is one of our remaining numbers because it does not fit either attribute of odd or a multiple of 3. And how many 68s do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I need 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, remaining numbers. And now we are to the 74s. 74 is not odd. Is it a multiple of 3? Well, 7 plus 4 is 11, and 3 does not go into 11 evenly. So 74s go out here with the remaining numbers. And how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Mr. Gibbons?
Okay, that's it. And there's Anthony again, Camden. We were right. Okay,
Mr. Gibbons?
I will get to you, Anthony, as soon as I finish this slide. Okay, so now the next number is 89. Okay, that's odd. And 8 plus 9 is 17. 3 does not go into 17. So, all right, it's not a multiple of 3, but it is odd. So I'm going to put my 89s, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them right here. Or excuse me, I'm at that 179 I forgot about. Anthony distracted me. I'm sorry, Anthony, I shouldn't pick on you. And 79 is odd, but it is not a multiple of 3, so it goes right there. Can you guys hear Anthony in the background? Oh, it's like being at home and doing this with my dogs. All right, now 84s. Well, 84 is not odd, all right, but isn't 8 plus 4 12, and doesn't 3 go into 12? So 3 would go into 84. So 84 is a multiple of 3, but it is not odd, so it would have to go out here somewhere, and I have 1, 2, 3 of them. And then the 89s, which I talked about already when Anthony came in a second ago. And so 89 is odd, but it is not a multiple of 3 because 8 plus 9 is 17, and 3 does not go into 17 evenly. So I'm going to put my 4 89s, 1, 2, 3, and 4 right there. And there we go. And I have my last one, 95. 95 is odd, but 9 plus 5 is 14, and 3 does not go into 14 evenly, so it's not a multiple of 3. So the 95 is going to go over here. Okay, so there we have it, and this is our Venn diagram right here. And let's use it to answer the question. Use a Venn diagram to determine how many 2006 scores were odd numbers and multiples of 3, and that would be these 463s right there. So I'm going to say 4 2006 scores were odd numbers and multiples of 3. There you go. Okay, so let's put that on our master chart right there, and there's my Venn diagram, and I believe that's all we have. So your job will be the next time we meet, we're going to take another set of test data. In fact, we're going to use the year 2007 and display it with 1, stem and leaf plot, and with the stem and leaf plot, we're going to find the mean, the median, and the mode, and make sure they're labeled, just like I did right here, all right? And then we're going to do our box and whisker plot, and with the box and whisker plot, we're going to make sure we know the range and the interquartile range, and then we're going to do our others, which would be what? Our histogram, and then our circle graph, and then our Venn diagram, and the Venn diagram will be used to answer the question, showing the scores that are odd and multiples of 3. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to close up right now and try to catch Anthony before he takes off on me. Have a great day.